My name is Shimei Kong, and before I start, I want to take the time to thank everybody who got me to this final presentation. First and foremost, to my instructors, Tom, Jeff, and Jason, with their immeasurable learnings and knowledge and infinite patience. Of course, to Byte Academy for obvious reasons, and of course to Kay. And to Slack Overflow and Tim, who wouldn't let me get here without them. So, I loved dairy products as much as this kid loves coloring. Pizza, ice cream, mac and cheese, sometimes just cheese. I was all over that. And then, when I hit my 20s, my body said, and I became lactose intolerant. This affected my day-to-day. I had to be very careful when reading ingredients, and I just couldn't put butter on my bread when it came to the table. But another part of my life it really affected unexpectedly was my dating life. If we met for coffee, I could only have tea. There's no such thing as spontaneous dinner dates to Mexican places or Italian places, which is loaded with dairy products. And that's the idea where Piki came. Piki is a website that I built that pairs people with similar dietary restrictions. So if you're a vegan, you can get paired with a vegan. Because there's nothing worse than sitting down for Argentinian steak and then realizing the person sitting across from you is a vegan. So what users can do is that they can register using their name and their password and an email, and when we get their email, we send them a verification email that tells them to click this link to verify that they're the user who they say they are. The workhorse that I used to create this project was Django. So I'm not going to talk about how the internet works, but I am going to talk about how users interact with Django. So the first step is the user's computer or their device. So if we're using the register example that I just gave, a user sees the page and they're going to give us their name, their email, and their password. From there, it goes into the Django settings URL. So Django receives, the information from the user gets sent as a request to the servers, and our server's like, okay, well, what should we do with it? It goes into the Django settings URL, and from there, they're redirected to Django app URL. In this case, it's the Piki app URL. From the Piki app URL, it then goes into the app views. So it shows what's rendering on the page, which is the HTML templates, what the user sees, and our models. So if they gave us their username, it gets saved in our models, which are our databases. So if we wanted to interact with our models, we would use the Django Object Relational Mapper, which allows me to edit their entries, to save their entries, or to delete their entries. And we save all of this in our database, in this case in SQLite 3. So the programs that I use to create this are Python, Mustache, which let me use the forms with logicless templates, jQuery, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which maybe allowed me to create the front end of it, and Bootstrap for templating. So then I had a question of, well, what happens when you have a user like this, a vegetarian? She could be paired up with these three guys. But she totally could be paired up with these three guys. But guy number one is allergic to peanuts. And he's like, I'm allergic to peanuts. And she's like, no, let's go to a Thai restaurant. Can't do that because peanuts will kill him. So our second option is that guy number three is lactose intolerant. And he's okay with dating a vegetarian, but it's not something that he really wants to do. So when you have so much data from so many users with so many preferences and what they're looking for, the question becomes, how do you pair them together? And that was the hardest part of the project, figuring out a match algorithm. So in layman's terms, the way I did it was that I funneled them all into ANDs, so multiple ANDs on top of each other. So instead of saying I'm a lactose intolerant person, or I want a vegetarian, or a person who's allergic to peanuts, it's I am this, and I'm looking for this, this, and this. So the future steps for this project, Piki 2.0, is allowing a chat interface system where users can chat interactively in real time with other people. So I just want to give you guys a live demo of the site. So here's Piki. It is a responsive website, which means that if you make this smaller, which I did not do properly, it will follow along with you. The text will also become smaller. You can go into About, which talks about Piki. You can go to Services, which says what it does, how easy it is to sign up, and you can also go into Contact Information, which is down here. I'm already logged in, so I wanted to give you guys a peek into what it looks like. So when you get in, you can go into your profile where you can set, hey, I'm lactose intolerant and I'm kosher, and I'm looking for someone who's not allergic to peanuts, but is also a diabetic and is a vegan. And yes, and show your matches, and here are all those people who have similar dietary restrictions. So if you're interested in them, you can click on their profile and send them a message. Because we have moderation for our emails, it takes about 24 hours before you're able to get a response. So this is what Piki does, and you guys should just start picking and start eating. Thank you.